This is the Detroit Sports Podcast Network.
And welcome in, folks, to another edition of Open Mic Night. I am your host, Noah Taluki, and on today's episode, a suspenseful start to the Open Mic Night podcast. But as you have guessed it, the Hard Knocks theme song, the Lions, officially announced the other day as the team for the 2022 version of the HBO reality TV show series. I'm going to talk about that and what it means for the Lions this offseason. Are there going to be distractions involved? Are we going to see, Dan Campbell's personality? Are we going to see really what it's like to be in Allen Park this summer as well? Also, the Lions and the city of Detroit hosting the 2024 National Football League draft. The biggest, I gotta say, Monday, the biggest day in Detroit sports that we've had in a very, very long time, I think. Monday, just amazing. Two incredible announcements, in my opinion, coming out. Also, a couple of other Lions news. Sheila Hamp, as I should say now. Something interesting with the last name, not including Ford anymore. I'm going to answer some questions. I'm going to try to at least answer some questions as to why she's not going by Ford in her name anymore. And also, Brad Holmes fielding trade offers reportedly with other teams for the number 2 overall spot. I'm going to say if it's good, if it's bad, who they should get if they trade down, where they would trade down to as well. So I'm really excited for this. And like I mentioned before, when I found out on Monday that the Lions were first going to be on Hard Knocks and going to host the 2024 NFL Draft, I about jumped out of my seat. I was up in our sports information office here at John Carroll, and literally I had people telling me. They ran into my little office I have there, and because everyone knows up there I'm a big Detroit guy, and they come running in saying, Lions are hosting Hard Knocks. And I'm thinking, oh my gosh, wow. I've advocated on this show before that the Lions should host Hard Knocks. I've been advocating for that really for a couple months. When the news came out of the teams that were eligible, remember, it was only 3 this year. Washington, the Jets, and the Lions. Those were the only 3 teams because there are certain rules. There are certain rules of being on Hard Knocks that certain teams are eligible and certain teams aren't. So the rule number 1, you can't have made the playoffs in the last 2 years, at least. That's one of them. Second rule, if you have a first-year head coach, you don't have to be on. Number 3, and there's can be a little bit of an exception to this, but for generally it's a rule that, at least recently, that you can't be on Hard Knocks if you've been on the show the last 10 years. So no Cowboys, no Falcons, no Bucks, none of those teams that have been on recently. So then it came down to these 3, and I'm thinking, okay, what substance does Washington have? What, Ron Rivera? Who else? Bad owner? I mean, terrible owner in Dan Snyder. You talk about Lions owners, Ford family, they don't compare anything to what Dan Snyder is in Washington. Nothing. Okay, so you have that story, I guess. And then the Jets. What's exciting about the Jets? Zach Wilson, Detroit native Robert Saleh as the head coach. I guess you're serving the New York market because New York loves the Jets. By the way, they were on in 2010. They have been on before, but as I mentioned earlier, it's been 12 years since, not 10, so they're technically eligible to be on. So between those 3, and you get, of course, Detroit, charismatic Dan Campbell, what actually goes on in Allen Park, Jared Goff, a couple other players, maybe Jamal Williams could add some substance. So you have all those 3 teams, and me, I thought it was a no-brainer. No-brainer, absolutely, that the Lions would get this. And all of a sudden, I hear the announcement. Because here's the other thing, too. The Lions have always avoided stuff like this. They've always been secret with a lot of things. There's not a whole lot of drama, usually, which is a good thing. Very good thing. But I know a lot of people complain there's not enough substance, not enough drama with this team, not enough stars. That's the other one. But I think this is good for Detroit. Not only just for the Lions, but you're going to get a little bit of exposure to the city. Some of those other Hard Knocks episodes that I've watched, they talk a little bit about the city and the people in it. Some of the players go out to different places in the city as well. So the city itself will be getting some exposure. And remember, this is not like some cheesy, raunchy reality TV show that a lot of those reality TV shows are like. This is not what Hard Knocks is. Hard Knocks is straight to the bone, uncensored in training camp. I mean, they will show anything that's not embarrassing to the team. If something is embarrassing to the team and all that, they won't show it. But everything else is pretty much fair game for Hard Knocks, which makes it very intriguing because a lot of, the NFL is all about secrets. Not sharing this, making sure this is private. So the fact that Hard Knocks exists, I think, really helps the NFL in terms of fan interest because people want to see what happens. Now, the last couple years, in my opinion, Hard Knocks has been down. I'm a guy that I don't watch every episode, but I like to tune in. I've watched series before. So I subscribe to the NFL Game Pass on NFL.com, and I've watched a lot of old Hard Knocks episodes, and they're enjoyable. I really enjoy, especially the storylines with some of the players that are on the fringe. You get the star players. You get to really learn more about the team and how they operate. And really, especially the Cleveland Browns one that they did a couple years ago, really got to see how Hugh Jackson was as a coach and Todd Haley, and it was just not good. Greg Williams in that room as well. So Hard Knocks can be something that really can expose a team and their weaknesses. But at the same time, and it can also, the whole distractions thing as well, but at the same time, I think it could keep teams more focused. And look, are we expecting the Lions, there's the whole Hard Knocks curse and all that. Are we expecting the Lions to, win 10 games and go to the playoffs this year? I'm not expecting that. However, I'm expecting improvement. 6 to 8 wins. I think that's fair. 6 to 8 wins this year. Now, is it going to create such a distraction that the Lions are not going to, play well in the regular season and all that? No, I'm not saying that. But I'm just saying that, sometimes it can create the distractions off the field stuff. But it also allows you to be more careful because anything you say on camera is pretty much fair game for Hard Knocks. So you got to be extra careful and extra diligent and all that. So I think it's really good. I think finally this is a true Hard Knocks in my opinion. Because last year with Dallas, it just in my opinion, Hard Knocks is always a team. It's for a team that, might be is struggling, trying to get back on the right foot. There's a little bit of drama in it with certain players. This, I think, really, the Lions are a great team for this show because it kind of goes back to the grassroots of Hard Knocks, seeing what a real training camp is like. And we've seen Dallas, we've seen LA, we've seen all these teams in the past, and there just hasn't been as much substance, in my opinion. Now, all of a sudden, I think the Lions will give you some substance, especially with Dan Campbell. Jared Goff, it's going to be his 3rd time on Hard Knocks. They made that rule of 10 years. I think it was a little different a couple years ago, where it was mostly online Hard Knocks with online Zoom meetings and stuff because they couldn't go in the building. That was a very weird series. But that's why the Rams were able to go on in 2020 and then 2016 his rookie year as well. So this is Jared Goff's 3rd time on Hard Knocks. I think that'll be interesting to see how he handles that because he's kind of a veteran of Hard Knocks, if you know what I mean. Like I said before, Jamal Williams, I think, could add some substance to this. He's a very fun guy. Cameras will really, really like him. He'll gravitate towards that as well. And really, in the end, it's going to be who is Sheila Hamp Ford? Who is Rod Wood? How is this organization run? How are the meetings run? I really love seeing coaches and players meetings. And then I think the bread and butter of Hard Knocks is seeing players get cut. I think that's the most dramatic part about Hard Knocks. Literally that meeting, sitting there with that coach, and that coach literally, it's just like a 1 to 2 minute conversation. Just, we're going to release you. It's just so simple, but it's just so, I always think that that's just the most dramatic part of it because you work they build up this story of these players that work so hard to get where they are. They've trained so much. They've spent hours and hours and hours of working on football, and then all of a sudden, they're released. So there's that human emotion to it as well. And every team has that. There's going to be guys in the Lions that do that. There's going to be all kinds of that. But I really think this is a return to normalcy for Hard Knocks. Because I think the Lions are going to have much better substance, and it's just going to create a lot more interest from teams. Are teams really interested in what Dallas does or the Rams? I don't think as much. But the Lions are a new team. They've never been on Hard Knocks before. A lot of people are curious to see who Dan Campbell is. I think it's going to be a real eye-opener this summer to see who these guys are. What is ownership like? What are these players like? What is it like in Allen Park? Because we've been wondering that for decades as fans. I've been wondering that too. What happens at 222 Republic Drive, or as our good friend Matt Derry likes to call it, 222 Rod Wood Drive? I can't wait for this. And I understand your concern, if you have any, about it being a distraction. I completely understand. However, I think this benefits. I really think this benefits the city of Detroit, the team, and finally some national recognition. Finally, a national media group is going to come in here, and I get you have to subscribe to HBO and all that, which I probably will. I might get the month free trial or whatever it is. I want to make sure I see all these episodes because I love the Hard Knocks series. And like I said before, I really, really enjoy going on that NFL Game Pass and watching those old episodes as well. Just a lot of suspense and drama as well. Not that I don't really like the drama as much, but it just kind of makes for good TV. So I'm excited, and I can't wait for August. And I was really, really happy to see that. And maybe hopefully I'll be going to a couple training camps, a couple preseason games if I can make it out. We shall see. Really, really excited about that. That's for sure. Oh, do I hear something now? Hey, let's hear that again. Oh, that's right. That is right. The famous ESPN NFL draft pick music is so synonymous with that event that happens every April. And folks, you're going to hear that sound in Detroit coming in 2024. The National Football League announcing on Monday as well that the NFL draft will take place in the city of Detroit in 2024. This really put a cherry on top for my Monday. Sometimes Monday's a little tough. It's tough getting in there after the weekend. You've had all that rest. Now you got to come in, do your work. And I don't mind Mondays, but Mondays can be a little tough sometimes. And I was already through the roof when I heard that the Lions were on Hard Knocks. But when that other person in the office came in a couple hours later and said that the Lions were hosting the 2024 NFL Draft, I could have had a pogo stick. I could have been bouncing off the walls after you told me that. I was so thrilled. So thrilled. I mean, that was like a double whammy right there. Two amazing things in Detroit in one day. That's what I said before. I said in the beginning, this is the biggest day in Detroit sports we've had in a long, long time. When was the last time the Detroit, the city, hosted a major sporting event? 2009 Final Four. 2009. The year Michigan State lost to North Carolina in the NCAA championship. A couple years ago, LCA, Little Caesars Arena, they hosted the first and second rounds. I don't count that as much. This is a major event. NFL Draft, Super Bowl, All-Star Game. Those are major sporting events where the center of whatever sports universe you're in, whatever league, is in Detroit. And look, a major sporting event I think of as NHL, NBA, NFL, MLB. Those are the four. Yes, the Rocket Mortgage Classic is a good event in PGA, but that's not a major sport. Like I said, major is those four things. And I am this is huge for the city. Because not only is it in Detroit, not only is there going to be national exposure, but it just sort of finally, I guess, shows the nation and shows the rest of the world, really, that Detroit's back. Detroit's coming back as a city. Downtown, finally, is starting to get better. There's starting to be a lot of other things to do that there wasn't in the past. This event is going to really showcase who Detroit is. And I get it. There wasn't a whole lot of competition for this. The other two events, places that the NFL was looking at was Green Bay and Washington. We already talked about Washington before with Dan Snyder. And then Green Bay, I get Green Bay is such a football town, but, you know, when you have a town like that's 100,000 people, it's like, say, Ann Arbor. We're going to go host the NFL draft in Ann Arbor, minus the big Michigan football tradition at the college level. Green Bay, not as much of a college town, obviously. And it's sort of in Siberia a little bit, up there in up north in Green Bay, Wisconsin. I just didn't see the NFL going to Green Bay. I get there wasn't a whole lot of competition. I understand. But I really, really think this is big for the city. And they said, Rod Wood and company, they said that the draft is going to be at, the center of it's going to be in Campus Martish, which I think is going to be great, a great backdrop of all the skyscrapers and everything like that downtown, which should make for a beautiful scene. They're also going to be utilizing the Fox Theater, and the Ford Field, Little Caesars Arena for a lot of concerts and things like that. And, in the past, as we all know, the NFL draft used to be in New York City. It used to be at Radio City Music Hall. It was always in that one venue for a long time. And then I think 2015 was the first year where they decided to kind of roam out to different cities. Now, I'm a big traditionalist. I always just like the draft at one place, especially New York. You know, how cool is that? Radio City Music Hall is such a legendary venue. But, I think they really want to cater to having more fans come to this and making it a huge event. And I think that's why the NFL and the league decided to move it to different cities. And, it's going on 10 years now that they've done it. Very successful, in my opinion. I mean, look at how many people showed up to Nashville a couple years ago. I mean, that was really, really big. Cleveland this year, I was there. Many, many people. And Cleveland really embraced it, I think, as well. And it was right next to the stadium. It was, great view of the water. The skyline was in the background. Fans could go into the stadium, play games, all that kind of stuff. So in terms of a fan atmosphere, it was really, really good there. But I've talked about my experience on the podcast in April with the draft. And I just got to say one thing, though. My draft experience was interesting. And I don't know how they're going to set it up in Detroit, in Campus Martish. I don't know what the barriers are going to be like or anything. But, it was free. Anyone could go down. You had to get past, there was certain zones where you had to go through metal detectors and all that. So they kind of had it zoned off of where you were. But it was free. You didn't have to have a ticket or anything. But I will say the free zone, it really felt like I was far away from the action. And I don't know if that was COVID restrictions and all that kind of stuff. But, I felt like I was really far from the stage. And I was about as close to the stage in the free zone as you can get. I was standing right behind where NFL Network was stationed, sort of their second booth, which was sort of at the edge of where the free zone was, and then the zone where you had to pay or you had to be specially invited and all that. I don't know. I don't know if the league, if it's just going to be kind of first come, first serve, and everyone's going to file in and get as close to the stage as they can, or if there's going to be sort of like a VIP area right in front of the stage. I don't know how they're going to do it. But in my opinion, I just thought I was really far away from the action, and especially the people that it just was free to get in. So I'm going to be curious to see how close fans can, especially people that don't pay, how close they can actually get to the stage. Because really, all it is the stage. I mean, there's other places where you can do activities and stuff, but the main stuff is going to be at the stage. So it's really going to be interesting to see what the Detroit Sports Commission and company do with this. But I could not have been a happier Detroiter on Monday with the announcement of the draft. And remember, this is 2 years from now, so 2024. This upcoming year, 2022, it's going to be in Las Vegas, which I'm sure will make for a fantastic event as well. And like I said before, it's really going to showcase the city of Detroit. It's on a comeback of its own, and I think it's about time. I really think especially when Cleveland was getting the All-Star game, when Cleveland was getting the draft, I think me and some other people were thinking, well, when's it Detroit's turn? Detroit's a bigger city. In my opinion, there's a little bit more stuff to do in Detroit than Cleveland. And now all of a sudden, the draft, and really, this could open, in my opinion, more doors for the future. All-Star games, maybe even a Super Bowl. Who knows? I would love to see a Super Bowl back in Detroit. Now, they're probably going to have to do some stadium renovations. It doesn't help that Ford Field's the smallest stadium in the league. I understand. But overall, really pumped. And I'm excited. I will definitely do my best in 2 years to be going to that event. Hopefully covering it one day. We shall see. But really, really happy for the city. And I'm hoping to go. So it's going to be exciting. That is for sure. All right, a couple more things on the agenda before we end the podcast today. Sheila Hamp, as I should say now. She, of course, the owner of the Detroit Lions, taking over for her mother 2 years ago, Martha Firestone Ford. I got a text from my friend the other day, and, I'm always used to hearing Sheila Ford Hamp. So, Ford, of course, her maiden name goes by Ford as the middle name. Hamp is her married name. And, so I've always been used to calling her, Miss Sheila Ford Hamp or referring to her as Sheila Hamp, Ford Hamp, and all that in that order. My friend texts me the other day and says, I don't know if you've noticed this, but on the Lions website, on her bio that they have, every owner has it, every media member or every staff member has a bio on the website. On her bio, it just says Sheila Hamp. And I'm thinking to myself, that's really weird. So I went and checked it out, and sure enough, it said Sheila Hamp. And then there was other news outlets that actually were reporting on it just a little bit later. And I thought, okay, wow, this is really resonating with other people as well. This isn't just something that my buddy or me saw. And I kind of thought to myself, I wonder why she took the Ford out of her name. The Fords have a lot of pride in their company, the Ford Motor Company, their last name. What is she doing? Like, is there something going on with the family? Were ties severed? Is this a Bill Ford Jr. thing all over again, where he is separated from the team and all he does is Ford Motor Company and banished from the Lions, basically? Is something going on here? But after doing some more research, I really think that it really comes down to this. I think it comes down to, and like I said, this is completely my opinion. This could be totally different. But what I think it is I think she wants to show people that she's part of the Fords, of course, but she's not part of that old way of thinking. She's not part of her parents' regime. She's not part of William and Clay Ford, Martha, all those bad GMs and bad management, bad head coaches that they've had in the past. I think it's sort of a thing where she wants to erase that, at least in the public image. She wants to erase that opinion that everyone has of the family and go with her own name, her married name, Hamp, Sheila Hamp, kind of leaving her own mark on the Lions, that she's independent from her parents. I really think that's what it is. I don't think there's any bad blood. I don't think there's any drama going on with the Ford family or anything like that. But I was curious at first to see why was that? Why did she decide to take the Ford out in a family that has a lot of pride for being Fords? But I really think that's it. I think honestly, if she's trying to send the right message, at least she's trying in that sense. Now I don't know how much it's going to help with the fan base, how they're going to react and all that, but I personally, I don't mind. I mean, it's just some little thing. It's not that big of a deal. But I really think Sheila is trying to be independent of her parents. I mean, you saw her make the decision with Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell, hiring those guys. And that was her decision. That was not her mother's decision. Her mother was the one that hired Bob Quinn and Matt Patricia. She's stepping away from that, making her own decisions as the principal owner of this team. And we're going to get to Brad Holmes in a minute because I have a couple of really good thoughts on him. But you're starting to see a little bit more competency with this regime, at least right now. You're starting to see them really embracing the culture of Detroit, embracing the culture of the team. I understand you guys have heard all that before, but I think this is a truly genuine interaction that they're trying to have with the city. Truly embracing in a very genuine way. And I think that's good because I don't think that it doesn't hurt. Trying to create that culture, winning culture, especially with her, with Sheila as the owner. Having more, I watched the interview that she did with Danny Rogers, the team reporter, talk about how they want a more collaborative effort in things. Not just an ego guy over here like it was with Matt Patricia. I want this guy, Bob Quinn. I'm going to draft him because I want him. None of that. They have to work together. I think Brad Holmes and Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell, at least so far, seem to be collaboratively working together very well. They seem to agree with each other. They seem to have the same vision of the team. And I think all that started by Sheila. I really do. And I'm like I said, I know it's going to take a while. They have 6-year deals for a reason. But, this is not going to be like a Matt Patricia scheme anymore. I don't think it is. I really, really think that they're going they're trying to build that foundation. And I understand you guys have heard all this before. But I genuinely think that these people want to be here. They want to establish a winning tradition. And I think it starts now. And I give Sheila all credit for hiring these guys and for them embracing and having that collaborative effort. And I'm not saying it's going to work or not, but at least they're trying, basically, is what I'm saying. All right, one more thing before we end. I talked about, told you guys I'd give you a little Brad Holmes. So apparently the rumor out there is that Brad Holmes has been fielding calls for the number 2 overall pick in the draft. And I get it. It's just news. It's slow. There's not much going on between the combine and the draft. I get it. It's probably not. It probably shouldn't be a whole lot of news either because a lot of teams field calls for the number 2 pick. But I brought it up because what if it actually does happen? What if they trade the pick before the draft? There's a lot of draft day trades that happen, but there's some that happen before the draft. And if this is something that Brad Holmes pulls the trigger on, I think it could be very good. Because of the players the Lions need, do they need to stay at 2? No. Kyle Hamilton, a safety at 2. If they wanted to get a safety, say. 2? Not for a safety. We went through this last week. We're not picking DBs that high unless they are a absolute can't-miss Hall of Famer. A defensive end. There's still good defensive ends out there. You don't need... it would be great to get Hutchinson or Thibodeau. Mainly Thibodeau, in my opinion. But do they need that? No. And you know what? Even if so, say Jacksonville, they just signed a long-term contract to a lineman, so it doesn't seem like they're going to take a lineman first overall, an offensive lineman, but say they pick Thibodeau. That leaves Hutchinson as the other defensive end. Maybe Hutchinson isn't the guy for the Lions at number 2. So why be up there? Oh, we're going to take Kyle Hamilton. We're going to take Malik Willis. Those guys don't need to be picked at number 2. The Lions, over the years, and this has really irked me about the Lions sometimes, they don't do good enough with draft day trades. You don't hear too many big, especially first, now the later rounds, sure, but the first, second rounds, you don't hear too much of any draft day trades with the Lions. And it kind of irks me a little bit because I think there's just so much more value that the Lions could get in these trades. Like a couple years ago, number 3 overall, could have drafted a little bit down to get Jeff Okudah or someone similar to that. Didn't need to stay at 3, but they did. I don't mind Brad Holmes fielding calls. So far, I've been trusting him as GM. Very team-friendly deal with DJ Chark. He's signed some other guys that I think, like Chris Board and company, who I think could be valuable. Very team-friendly. This is what real general managers do in the NFL, and the Lions haven't had real general managers in the last couple years. especially with Bob Quinn. So if the Lions can trade down, great. But if they don't get their asking offer, if they don't get what they want, it's okay. You can stay at 2. But I think, honestly, they'd be better off trading down. Just because I think they get some value, they get some picks. The guy that they truly want might still be there. And on top of that, you can get some more value. More draft picks, maybe, some trades even involve an actual player. You never know. So I would not be opposed whatsoever if Brad Holmes were to trade down at all. Not opposed at all. It's going to be interesting to see what happens in this next month. If he does pull the trigger, if he doesn't, maybe it's a draft day trade. Who knows? But we shall see. And that's the NFL media circus for you. It's really nonstop, and news never sleeps. That is for sure. Make sure to check out all the other great content on the podcast network, Doc and Jock, the Wrestling Podcast, the Michigan Podcast, Fan Report, all of those excellent podcasts. And make sure to look at John Macaroon's Sports Illustrated coverage that he does a fantastic job with. As I mentioned, news never sleeps, so I'm sure he doesn't either with all that Lions coverage as well. Thank you again, folks, for tuning in, and make sure to tune in next week only on Open Mic Night.